Hello, YouTube friends. This is a great episode, but I'm sad about this episode because if you notice, I'm by myself. As we were trying to record this, Karin and I were trying to do it via Zoom and just trying to make that work and record it through Zoom. And her internet, I don't know if it was her internet or so many people on Zoom right now, but she was choppy. Her picture kept freezing. And so, if you noticed, last week she was by herself doing an episode, and this week I'm by myself doing an episode. So, hopefully, by the time these are done, the quarantine will be over so we can just record together again. But if not, we'll hopefully then Zoom is working and that we can figure that out. So, anyways, this is going to be more of, we were going to talk about it together anyway, but now you just have to hear me. So, sorry, I love Karin and I miss her. So, anyway, let's get started. All right, friends, welcome back to episode number 52. And once again, last week you heard from Karin all by herself, and this week you're hearing from me by all myself. This is Meg, and we had some technical difficulties. We couldn't get Zoom to work with both of us, and we're still in the quarantine. So trying to be safe and follow guidelines. So we'll just be splitting up, hopefully just these two episodes. And we're really praying that the next time that we can just be together and get it all figured out. But this episode is perfect timing of teaching your kids emotional health. And I think it's kind of been interesting as I've heard my own son talking about that he is grateful that he has some of these skills of being able to have self-reliance of emotional health. And that we, a lot of people in our religion, carnal mind religion, they do practice food storage and being self-reliant with that, financially having a reserve. And so my son was saying how grateful he was during this quarantine that emotionally he was self-reliant because some of his friends have had severe anxiety or severe depression because they don't know what to do. They're stuck at home. They can't do the things they used to do, can't go out and just hang out with friends. And so this is a beautiful time and opportunity to really be teaching your kids emotional health. And this is what a video that was released last month in Mama's Members, and that's my program that I have a bunch of amazing videos just really helping you to become this amazing mom and your family to be awesome. So last month's video was all about emotional health, or I guess this month's video, yes. And so there'll be group coaching calls or private coaching calls if you want more help. And then obviously just go ahead and sign up if you're ready to really dive in. Okay, so a lot of us understand taking care of our physical health. Even if we don't always do it, we understand the importance of it, of eating fruits and vegetables. If you are vegan or not vegan, right? Like I eat meat, I'm not vegan, but I know Karin is vegan. So for her, more healthy is not eating meat, where I'm okay with eating meat. Some people eat grains, some people don't eat grains, right? So we kind of understand some of those basics of physical health. We also understand that exercise is amazing for our body, whether it's running, which is the best because it's my favorite, CrossFit, walking, yoga, biking, swimming, anything, hiking, right? Just something to get your body moving. And we know that the benefits of it, it is like runner's high is a real thing. That's why I love it so much, is I always get that huge dopamine hit when I run. And so I also solve all the world's problems when I run. And so for me, it's much more than just about physical health. It just helps me to feel better, right? So we know the basics of physical health, but do we know the basics of our emotional health? And how do we take care of that? There's not really a gym membership for your brain. And that's what I do with Mama's Members. It's kind of that gym membership for your brain of really understanding how to be the best version of yourself. And then what's great about this is now teaching it to your kids so that they can do the same thing too. So can you imagine a world where everybody took 100% responsibility for their emotions? Seriously, wouldn't that be absolutely amazing? During this pandemic, we've seen a wide range of emotions. We've seen people paranoid or panicked and really kind of freaking out. We've seen a lot of anxiety. We've seen depression. You've seen in the stores that fear is driving people to go in and buy out all the toilet paper of all the random things. So a lot of the fear and all those things. And then you've also seen the other spectrum where you've seen people who are like, it's okay. Like, we're going to get through this, having peace and being calm. So there's been this huge range of emotions. And being able to just feel nervous or scared or at peace and not react to it is a beautiful and powerful tool. So now take that into your home. And what would that look like if your children, you yourself, right, or even your husband, took responsibility for how they showed up and how they feel and what they're doing and all those wonderful things? There wouldn't be screaming, because you would be able to just, so if you were frustrated with something, you would just be able to feel frustrated without saying, hey, I'm mad at you because of this, right? There wouldn't be screaming. There wouldn't be the fighting and the punching and the kicking, right? There wouldn't be any of those things if people just, even meltdowns. Meltdowns are really just having this super strong emotion and not knowing what to do with it. So like that would just be this beautiful, wonderful process of being able to really feel your emotions and not react to them. If you remember from episodes back in the Levels of Liberty, I talk about that within the FEMSISes, we have financial and now we're on emotional, of taking your kid where they are and where that they could be and that potential that they have. And for my kids, my goal with them as they're leaving the house and getting ready is that they know how to take 100% responsibility for their emotion. So even though their path to get there may look different, because some children may struggle with anger and some children may struggle with being the victim. Some may struggle with the meltdowns or running away and hiding, right? So their path to get there is different, but I have the same end goal idea for my children. Because the problem doesn't come from having a negative emotion. And that was something that I thought when I really started learning and becoming a life coach, I thought, well, you can just think away, you never have to feel negative, you never have to feel sad or all those things. And that's not really the goal. The goal is to be able to feel those emotions and just feel them and not react to them. So let me give you an example of this. So let's say you are feeling worried. You are looking at your kid and your kid is not reading and you tell yourself, my kid should be reading, and you feel worried, which is fine to feel worried. But what happens is then we start indulging in that worry, which acts like a wildfire to start spreading panic through us. So then all of a sudden it's not like, oh, I'm just worried. It's like, hey, kid, you got to get your act together and you got to start reading. Maybe so you're pushing them. You got to read longer. You got to do harder. Maybe you're beating yourself up and just like, well, I'm a terrible mom. And if I were a better mom, this wouldn't be happening. So kind of all of those things. Maybe you want to check out and you want to go hide in the closet and eat chocolate or hide in the garage and drink a soda, whatever, something, because you just want to feel good right then. Maybe you will yell at your kid or say hurtful or mean things because then they would get it, right? But if you just learn to sit, to feel worried, and then you can let it go. How much different would you show up as a mom? I actually have the opportunity, I do free little coaching calls, mini sessions, and I talked to this lovely woman, and she was struggling with her son not being able to read. And she was getting after him, like, why is he not getting this? Am I a bad mom? All this stuff. So we did the one coaching session and I just gave her some kind of help to just kind of relax and to see it from a different point of view. And she ended up calling me back and just saying, oh my gosh, she's reading, because all of a sudden she wasn't driving, like pushing him really hard and riding him like, come on, get your crap together kind of attitude. And as she relaxed, her son was able to relax. And all of a sudden the reading wasn't being forced anymore and wasn't being pushed anymore. And it just clicked because now it was fun, right? And so when we get caught up in all those negative emotions, we don't always act as our best self or show up as our best self. So if you think about this with feeling a strong emotion, and a lot of times people will say like, I'm fine, it's okay. Like, I'm super stressed, but it's okay. What you're doing when you add like, it's okay, if it's not really okay, think of yourself as pushing a beach ball underneath the water, and you're pushing and pushing and pushing and holding down this negative emotion, just holding it until something happens, which is maybe not something you normally would snap about, but let's say like your kid tromps mud through the house, and before you'd be like, that's annoying, but we'll get it done. But you've been holding down this beach ball and somebody just bumped the beach ball and it just explodes up. And that's when we yell and get really mad at kids or not show up as our best self, because we don't want to feel that emotion. I am loving the book right now from Brene Brown, Daring Greatly. And she talks about people who are living a wholehearted life. And the people who are just really living this amazing life are doing three things. They've learned how to actually feel their feelings. They have stayed mindful about numbing behaviors. I'm going to come back to that one. And learning how to lean into the discomfort of hard emotions. So, how to actually feel your feelings. Isn't that an interesting one? So, feeling just stressed or scared or nervous without the added drama, which leads right into the next one, which is the numbing behaviors. I usually refer to it as buffering, right? And so when we're buffering, it's because we don't want to feel the negative emotion. We just want to feel good. And we want something that's going to give us that quick hit as quick as humanly possible. So that may look like eating. Like you said, sneaking away for chocolate. If I just had a piece of chocolate, I'd feel so much better right now. If I just had this drink right now, I would feel so much better. I don't want to feel it all. I'm just going to check out on my phone. I don't have to feel anything at all. And I'm just going to mindlessly scroll. I'm going to mindlessly watch TV. And it can even go down to things like pornography and other things like that, because those are numbing behaviors because you just don't want to feel something. So learning how to lean into the discomfort of hard emotions. Like, oh, okay, like right now I feel, let's say, scared. There is a pandemic about, and I am scared because there are people I know and love who are high risk, and I'm just going to feel scared. And on my website, if you go to coachmegthomas.com, there should be a screen that pops up, or if not, just scroll down the page a little bit. And I have an awesome, cute little book called Fight, Flight, or Freeze. And it will go through some amazing steps of teaching your kids, but you can use it for yourself, of how to feel your emotions. I use the acronym to take a breath. And first is taking 5 big deep breaths, right? And then goes through all the letters of breath to help you to really sink in and feel those feelings. And like, what does this feel like? Where do I feel it? And then just being able to sit into the discomfort of like, oh, this sucks. Okay, I'm just going to feel it for a little bit. Instead of holding down the beach ball, just letting the beach ball sit on the surface for a little bit. And if you imagine if you're in the ocean and you have a beach ball and you just put it on the water, it may be by you, but eventually it just floats away, right? And so as you just kind of feel that emotion and just kind of be with it, eventually it just kind of floats away and goes, and you don't have to be in this state of not trying to feel it, which is causing more problems because now you have to deal with, let's use overeating, okay? So let's say you're feeling stressed and you don't want to feel stressed, so you turn to food. And you turn to the food and now you overeat. So now you're not only like having the stress from whatever was going on in your life, but now you have this extra feeling guilty that you overeat. Like, I'm on a regimented diet and I know that this is not good for my health and now I feel crappy. And so you've compounded the problem by not just facing it. And we are so afraid sometimes of feeling angry or feeling upset. Like, I shouldn't feel angry. You know what? You're human. Why shouldn't you feel angry sometimes? There is nothing wrong with feeling angry. The only problem comes is when we act on that anger. Instead of just saying, you know what? I feel angry right now, so I'm going to go be by myself for a minute because I know I'm not going to show up as my best self, and I'm just going to go sit for a minute and just feel angry and everything will be okay. So then you don't have to feel angry, then react and yell and scream at your kids, do something like that. And now you have to go apologize to your kids and apologize to yourself. Now you feel guilty because you yelled and you never actually just got to feel angry. So if you can just lean into the discomfort of feeling angry or whatever emotion, it's going to not give you more problems to then have to deal with, right? It kind of like puts this weird barrier, like, well, if I keep compounding things on it, I never have to feel that initial thing I didn't want to feel. But now you're dealing with all this other junk you've created for yourself versus just leaning in and feeling it, right? So not only is this great for moms, but it's amazing to teach this to your children. And this is what this month I've been teaching in Mama's membership. Like I've told you guys before, for the first 100 people, you're getting a lifetime membership for $100. So it's an amazing price. You're getting private coaching, group coaching, all these videos, printables, downloads, all that stuff. So go hop over there, and that's what I'm really showing you how to do this month. But teaching your kids how to take full responsibility for how they show up. So if you have teenagers, right, and it's like, oh, my mom is so mean, she's the worst, like she is making my life miserable. Like, can you imagine if you had a teenager was like, I'm going through some hard stuff right now, and I just need to be alone for a minute because I don't want to treat others poorly, and I don't want to act out and do all these other things. But just saying, hey, I'm sad right now. I want to go see my friends and I can't. And so just learning like how to be sad. And so a lot of times it does start with us, and we then teach it to our children, and it trickles over to them. And it's this beautiful thing of creating some peace in your home. So some simple things that you guys can just start doing, some tips. Like I said, go to my website, coachmegthomas.com, and download the book of teaching your kids how to feel their feelings, right? But another thing you can do is start changing the vocabulary in your home. So a very simple thing to do, I love to do this with songs, is my favorite thing. You know, the Queen, Aretha Franklin, has You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman. So I love to sing, I choose to feel like a natural woman. Right? Instead of you making me feel this way, no, I choose to feel this way. Another one, there's a Bruno Mars song. I can never remember it, but it's something along like you make me feel like, something like that. But I always change it. I choose to feel like, and like singing, Karen's the singer, I'm not. Just like simple vocabulary changes. So instead of my brother made me so mad, I chose to be so mad. And that's okay. I'm not saying it's wrong. But it's taking ownership of like, hey, instead of my kid made me yell, I chose to yell. Yeah, sometimes I'm a mom and sometimes I choose to yell. And just taking that ownership, just something small little change of changing that vocabulary. Like and watching it in what you say in yourself, because they'll mimic it. And like, oh, our neighbors they're so difficult, right? They're so hard. They make me so frustrated. And just changing it, like, I get frustrated sometimes when people don't want to do things the way I want to do things. I get mad sometimes. I get sleepy, and I ornery sometimes too, right? And so just slowly changing that vocabulary. So the two things I want to leave with you is to go teach your children and yourself how to feel feelings. Right? Identify, how do I feel? Not just mad. Maybe you feel irritated. Maybe you feel frustrated as their vocabulary grows, right? There's a great homeschool thing of finding out a thesaurus of emotions, basically, right? Of not just sad, but I feel depressed. I feel downtrodden. I feel whatever word it is you want to come up with. You know, you could make that something fun of like, here are a list of feelings. And next time you feel something strong, let's think, what is it that you're feeling? And this is what's so beautiful, is because in homeschool, you are getting to mentor this process. Instead of just seeing them a couple hours in the daytime, you're with them all the time. And so in the daytime, if they are working on the skill of, let's think something basic, of not yelling at their brother. And their brother's there, and you can see they want to yell, and you can say, hey, I can see you're super angry and frustrated and you want to yell at your brother. What can we do instead of yelling at him? How do you want to respond, right? Maybe they don't want to do it in the moment, but they could do it after, like, what do you want to do next time? Because, you know, your brother's probably going to touch your stuff again. What do you want to do? How do you want to respond, right? Like, I do want to feel annoyed. Okay, you want to feel annoyed with it. So what can you do with feeling annoyed without lashing out at your brother? Is that going to motivate you to maybe put your stuff somewhere where he can't get it, or motivate you to do something different to get a different result, right? So you're not in that insanity loop of doing the same thing over and over and hoping for a different result. So these may sound like small changes, right? Just learning to feel your feelings and then taking ownership of when you feel those negative feelings. Like, I chose to feel mad. I chose to feel irritated. I chose to yell. I chose to whatever. And your kids can start doing those things too. But it is a beautiful process of actually learning how to teach your kids to have emotional health, right? Just like if if I was a fitness coach and I was teaching you to run a marathon, I wouldn't start by saying, we're going to go do 20 miles today. You know, I'd actually start with the basics of shoes. and say, if we're going to run a marathon, we have got to get some shoes. So maybe in the very beginning, if you're like, hey, our family is amazing. We're going to step this up a notch. So let's start with just learning emotions. What are different emotions we can feel? And so maybe even you don't even start with like I chose to feel, but just like I feel. And what do you feel right now, right? And can you lean into that feeling instead of checking out and numbing or buffering and all those things? So it's a beautiful thing that he puts you down this road of where I'm guessing we would like our families to be, where there isn't yelling and contention and fighting, where there is people saying, especially with teens, it's so awesome of saying like, I didn't show up my best self and I'm going to keep working on that. And I'm sorry because I was feeling vulnerable right then. I was feeling attacked. And so I lashed out and I wasn't my best self. So it's this beautiful thing that comes in full circle of teaching these emotions to your kids. And sometimes it feels painful, but the beautiful process is as we teach your kids these things, our kids these things, that we create this home of peace. And so it may look like a lot of work in the beginning, but it pays off so much in the end when there isn't the yelling or there's a system or we already know what to do. When we feel a strong emotion, this is what we do. We're a family that when we can feel negative emotion and we know what to do with it. We know it doesn't give us the right to treat other people poorly. We know it doesn't give us the right to encroach into other people's space or the way we treat them, right? So I want to challenge you again to go over to coachmacthomas.com and go download the book. And also I do the free little coaching calls. So if you want to, you can see right there at the top of my website, I think it says free call or free session, something like that. And go hop on it and we can just kind of help walk you through, get you through the space, get you through a place where you want to be. Or if you're really ready to dive in and was like, yes, I am so ready. I keep thinking about it. Don't keep thinking about it. Jump in before all the 100 spots are gone because you'll kick yourself in the butt if you don't do it. Jump on it. So anyways, I love you, friends. I really hope that I get to be with Karen next time because she is my dear friend. And I hope you guys are healthy and doing well. Talk to you in the next episode.